What's happening, friends, fairies? We're gonna jump right in. No more dilly-dallying with the intro. So, what is dream analysis? Generally, dream analysis is referring to the process of interpreting our dreams to better understand ourselves or where we are in our lives. However, something I'll briefly touch on is the fact that dream analysis throughout history has very often been something applied to a community rather than to an individual only. Nonetheless, dream analysis can help a person face and integrate deep fears and other emotions, as well as identify goals and core parts of ourselves that we want to uplift and really embody. It can help us move through emotion arcs like resentment to forgiveness or acceptance, and at times it can help us move through collective energy in a manageable way. So first things first, dream analysis is nothing new. Let's make that super clear. I'm going to read a quick quote from the Indigenous New Hampshire Collaborative Collective. They say many Indigenous societies in North and South America have dream theories and interpretations that reveal a philosophical order about the nature of the universe. Dreams act as a bridge between the physical world and a spiritual reality. African Indigenous understandings of dreams include them as spiritual healings, guides to social order or community action, and signs of personal destiny. And these themes, in terms of how dreams were/are viewed, are differentiated among Indigenous communities, but there are themes that remain to some degree consistent, including among the Celtic people. So when it comes to dream analysis, one of the most prominent figures within the field is Carl Jung. He said that dreams were letters from God or the unconscious. He had an intricate system of analysis using archetypes and symbology, and was said to have analyzed over 80,000 dreams. I'm going to give a brief overview of these archetypes so that you can start to apply this as you will if it's something that seems applicable to what your dreams are doing as of late. So one of these archetypes was the persona, or the mask that we put on for the world, how we see ourselves or how we think we should be seen. Next we have the anima and the animus. So according to Wikipedia and Jung's theory, the anima makes up the totality of the unconscious feminine psychological qualities that a man possesses, and the animus, the masculine ones possessed by a woman. So if you have a strong male figure showing up and you're a woman, or vice versa, it is not necessarily, but could be the anima or animus having a conversation with you about what qualities of masculinity or femininity you hold within yourself that are being called forth, or presenting themselves for observation and I guess your own decision making on whether those are the qualities that you want to continue to call forth. Although I do, from what I understand, the anima and animus are generally quite positive characters, but I would think they have their own version of shadow and exaltation, just as the other archetypes might. Obviously, there's quite an amount of gender polarity in this concept here with the anima and animus. I'd be really curious how a non-binary, gender non-conforming, two-spirit person interacts with gender identity within their dreams and the characters that show up around them. Not people who they necessarily know in real life, but these aspects that may be showing up as themselves, whether they also show up in a gender non-conforming way or whether they do present as obvious anima and animus his. I don't know the plural of animus, but you get the point. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you have experience with this and are open to sharing. So we also have the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we're afraid of, that we feel threatened by. For myself, I've gone through a few dream arcs of repeatedly turning away from or fighting a shadowy figure until eventually really observing them and seeing them tame within the embrace of love. For example, I had one I just randomly thought of recently that I had going over the span of months, years ago. And every time in this dream, I was climbing this tower, which is also a pretty common symbology within dreams. And I would be going up the steps, and there was this like Voldemort-y type of figure who I couldn't like quite look at, literally. And it was just like their force was so dark and strong that I just couldn't even like bear to look at them. And when I did, months later of having these dreams, it was okay. Like I just kind of somehow worked up the courage. Actually, you know what I did? I approached them from the side. There was like a side tower that I approached them from, and I was able to look at them from the side rather than trying to come at them head on from this up the stairs. And they lost all of that like charge that I had been associating them with, that I had been seeing them through. And yeah, and the dreams resolved themselves at that point and stopped. That would be a longer video for me to do some sort of dream analysis on that. And honestly, it's not really super relevant to my life anymore, that symbology, but that is the sort of recurring dream thing, time period that I'm pretty sure Jung would have been like, yes, like, let me get in there, let's talk about it. And then that brings up part of what this whole Jungian application of dream work is, which is that not all archetypes necessarily show up in every dream, and that they appear more actively during major times of growth and transition. And then to wrap it up with the archetypes, we have the self, which is the blended representative of one's unconscious and conscious, which can show up also in more archetypal abstractions, for example, the trickster or the wise one. Moving right along to the next form of dream analysis. So while Jungian psychology and dream analysis is named after the man himself, Carl Jung, Gestalt psychology and dream analysis is named after a German word meaning unified whole. So the Gestalt system believes that every part of the dream is a direct representation of a part of us. So this includes other people and inanimate objects. If a certain friend showed up in the dream, the Gestalt system might ask what you associate with that friend in terms of qualities or times of your life. And if there was, for example, a certain rock in the dream that played a strong role, you would pay attention to the changes the rock goes throughout the dream and what it's being affected by. Then ask yourself what parts of yourself that may be pointing to. And the more I think about it, inanimate objects do often play a pretty strong role in a dream. For example, I once flew in a dream through basically a warehouse of horseshoes, and there was a lot of course, the horse is a living being, but the horseshoes themselves, there's definitely something to consider there. For example, walking into a shop of journals is something that once happened in a dream, and so those journals could represent reflection, and my journals were on the wall of the shop, and so maybe that would then be the part of myself that reflects, that loves to be introspective. I have to say, this is making me want to get more into my dream journal practice again. I remember most of my dreams, but I don't always write them down. And I came across some dreams recently that I'd written down in so much detail. And it's so beautiful and poignant reading them back, even years later. So I might really get on that again and apply some of these methods. I suppose that brings me to a side note, my own style of interpretation, which at this time is very much based on intuition and feeling what energies are moving within me at night or moved within me following a dream, whether it's something that's opening or resolving. I recognize dreams as such potent energy work, and I've generally been letting them do their work in a relatively hands-off way, though there are times I'm very much playing an active role in my dream life through things such as lucid dreaming. I feel that analyzing lucid dreams would possibly be a whole other branch to this conversation, so let's go into the next method for now. Lastly, we have the existential art method. There's significantly less material around this method, but I'm including it anyway because it sounds dope and I'd love to learn more about it. Basically, it focuses on the clear and apparent workings of the dream rather than relying on underlying symbology. And from what I can tell, there's some interweaving with art therapy in this method. So existential art therapy is the entire term for it, and this dream analysis is a method within that system of therapeutics, as far as I understand. This is really meant to be a brief overview of some of the methods of dream analysis that I personally feel called to in some way, or that I have applied in some way. There are a few more big ones out there in the mainstream, but these are the ones that I chose to include in this video. Whatever form of dream analysis you choose, if you choose any, I invite you to honor your dreams as true helpers. And that's whether a dream is terrifying or blissed out, or a little bit of both. We're these blends of different feelings and experiences, so why shouldn't our dreams be? I think that's kind of the whole point with the integrating of the different archetypes, including the shadow and the exalted self, is embracing and therefore integrating all of these different qualities. And to move towards a dance between surrender and sovereignty when it comes to your dreaming, as with everything else, my general recommendation. So listening to what your dreams have to tell you, but when you want to, setting intentions for soft dreams and practicing sleep hygiene that helps you with this. I think I'm going to make another video about specifically that soon. So I love it if you subscribed, and thank you for watching. Bye.